Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of AfterLife SMP. You may already be noticing that things look a little bit different. I currently have a very light shaders pack on that just makes some changes to the world and makes it look a little bit prettier. It looks like this right now because it's raining, but I have rain turned off because rain is just extremely annoying. But today I'm still working over at the Little Mesa. I've been hard at work getting the supplies for just selling and maybe a little bit of building around here in the area. But today we're going to be working on the pathway that leads from here to this side of the actual mesa and then down to the pathway so people can actually walk up to the top of the hill easily. And over here you may notice that I have torn down the trees that we have previously put in. This is because I just didn't like them. They just didn't look very good. So I figured that we're going to try and make our own. Okay, so I want to try and start with the roots here. We're just going to place them down sort of normally. Right here, we're going to add a little bit of squiggle to them, and we're also going to break up here with a squiggle. Oop, fell in a hole. Hold on, let's get out. We're going to add a little bit of a squiggle there as well, and we're going to start the trunk there, but we're also going to add a little bit of detailing. So here's the second tree done. It's considerably smaller and I changed quite a bit about it from this tree. It's sort of the same. It still has a little bit of the droopy leaves, but it's a much smaller tree in general than this one, and I think it fits in very well. So I think we're going to possibly skip the one back here, and we're just going to add one right here and then possibly one right over here at the final end. So let me get to work on this one, and then this one. I will see you back at the end of both of those, and then we'll begin work on the pathway. So this is just a sort of midway point update on the fourth tree. I haven't started the third tree yet. I wanted to do the fourth first because I knew it'd be substantially bigger, and it has proven to be substantially bigger and thicker than the two other trees. So I need quite a bit more leaves, but we're going to start putting on the leaves now, and I will see you guys back in a second. Okay, so I finished the third, well, technically fourth tree, and it could use for a little bit of a diet, but honestly, it doesn't look that bad. It adds a little bit of characteristic that it's that fat. If you're wondering why it looks this fat over here, it's because I added two little branches here, here, and I think there's one little one up there a little bit more. But that's the three trees for right now. There's going to be one more right there, since I do realize that it does look pretty empty right there, so we're probably going to place it somewhere like right in the middle of both of these grass patches. I'm probably just going to connect them. It'll be right here somewhere, and then we'll get to work on the pathway. So see you back at the end of this tree. So two things have been accomplished. One, I added this tiny little bulb tree here, which I think looks adorable, and I do hope these trees look as good as I think they do, because I think they turned out really nicely. It's like the first time I've ever attempted custom trees, and I think they turned out fairly well, and I just got my sort of place them randomly rule from doing landscaping and stuff, so hope they turned out well. And I also made the executive decision, which you can't really see with the lens flare, to get rid of quite a bit of the top of the tree, and now it is just sort of a flat top. I'll give you a better view from up here. It is now just sort of a flat top, but it is slightly bigger than the rest of the trees, so it still stands out that just tiny little bit I wanted. So let's get started on the pathway. So I had to go and grab some quick materials, but let's have a quick rest here real quick. But I went out and grabbed some bone meal. I specifically went out for some ferns, and I wanted to get some double ferns, which I'm hoping we can get if we just bone meal the ferns. Fantastic, we can. So I want to put some bone meal down, just see what we can get around here for a little bit of bone meal, a little bit of variety, and then we're going to add our own spice to it with the ferns and such. And over here as well, there's some spice over here. We're actually, let's actually Okay, so there's two things that I want to go and get now before anything else, but let's just also mix in the ferns here and there. Let's just throw in a couple ferns just in some places. We'll bone meal that one, why not? Right in the middle of the path. And but I want to go and get the dry bushes from the mesa, and I also want to try and or I also want to walk over to the flower shop. Okay, fantastic. We can pick up the dead bush. I was correct. It was dead bushes. So we can pick up the dead bush. I'm going to pick up maybe about a stack, and then we're going to head back. Okay, we're all good and we're back here, and I'm going to start adding these blue orchids in here for just a little bit of a splash of color. I feel like we just need a little bit more color in this area. Let's get rid of the rose. Or yeah, no, I'm still calling it rose. It's a rose. It's a rose. It'll forever be a rose in my heart. So you know what? It's a rose. Can't accept you yet. And then I want to place around a couple dead bushes. I can place them anywhere. Really? Ooh, I thought it was only on hardened clay. Fantastic. Okay, so let's place a couple of these around. We'll place them there. We can sort of get a little wild with these since they are very frequent in the actual biome. So we'll just sort of place them quite a bit, and if I feel like it's too much, we'll slim it down a little bit. And I also have a little bit of a plan for a nice little wagon. Okay, and here's the look without shaders, just in case we don't want to use shaders later on. I need to make sure this place still looks good, and I think it does. I think it still looks fantastic. So the cart's probably going to go here. We're probably going to expand this area out a little bit with a little bit more dirt, and then the cart is going to go here. It's going to be holding some gold and some iron. So if we break this and this, let's start expanding it out a little bit here. So let's bring it just out like this so we can get some decent space for a cart, and we will go like this. All right, so the first thing we need to do is get a block up like this. So we have a half a block up, and we're going to make a decently sized cart just like this. Then we're going to have a wheel on the side like this here and here as little wheel things, here as the reins, and then right here on the back we will have our little bits of loot. I was about to say it feels like I forgot something. It was the shaders pack, but I wanted to add sort of a carrying holder to the back of the cart so it doesn't look so weird, and so it doesn't look like it's going to just tilt and fly over. And so there's our little tiny cart. I think that actually looks pretty good. I like the little slab or the little trap doors here on the back holding it in. Maybe we'll get rid of that one actually. And hmm, maybe like that. And maybe like that. Then let's come over here and maybe make ourselves a little bit of a seat. Actually, I think I have a little bit of spruce somewhere in these. One of these. Here it is. At two spruce. There we go. Fantastic. Boop, boop. And then we'll also add a little bit of a wooden trap door here on the side for armrests. And that looks a little weird here. A little weird. OBS became a brat of a program and just corrupted about 10 minutes of the episode, so I'm sorry if anything before this really seemed sort of too quick of a cut. I tried to salvage as much of the episode as I could. So from that, we're going to move on from this little area for right now, and we're going to focus on the pathway up here and the pathway leading from the pathway down there to actually come up. But I think first of all, I need to work something out for the pathway leading up. So let me get a couple supplies ready, maybe work out a pathway design and see what I come up with. Okay, so I had to go to the mesa real quick to get more red sand so we can make some red sandstone for the half slabs, and I'm slowly but surely just grooving it into the mountain and making it look a little bit more natural so it looks just at least a little bit more decent. So for example, it would have to be like a proper step, so we'd have to terraform probably this part a little bit and then just going all the way up that, and I'm thinking of starting to bring it over that way now. So maybe right here we're going to take this one and we're going to remove this guy, place a normal, wait, no, what layer is that one? That's orange, so place orange there, and along this wall, just to fill it back in for right now, and then some normal hardened clay right here, so you don't notice all of the weird dirt. And let's actually just sort of go like this for right now. Tear this back a little bit, just a little bit, since we're going to have maybe two pathways. Maybe it'll split off. Maybe one will go this way and one will go that way. So we'll have one that just leads straight up. So let's remove this one now and replace the red clay there, or the orange clay there. And let's go like this, fill that back in. No, wait, is that a step? That's a step. That's okay. Okay. So, this is going to be probably a little bit of a time consuming process. I'm going to get a little bit more done, and then I'll bring you guys back to see this first pathway done. Okay, so here's our pathway leading up, and I also realized that it looks sort of bad right here, and right here it stops too suddenly. So today we'll also be adding a little bit of variety to the hill and making it blend in just a little bit more over there, especially down there. That looks pretty bad. That's just a straight line from orange to green. But here's the pathway. It blends in pretty nicely. We'll start getting done on the pathway here in just a second, but I wanted to show you guys the palette. So instead of spruce, we're either be going to variably use the red sandstone slabs, or we're going to be using the acacia wood, since I think that also looks very nice and blends in here well. We will be using a little bit of oak leaves. We're not going to be using a whole bunch of dirt. I just wanted to come over here and just try and make it seem like it's blending into this area. Like, of course, wind's going to pick up. It's going to sort of carry over into this area a little bit, and that's what I want it to look like. But hopefully it doesn't look like it's just sort of forced in here. I want it to just sort of look like it was blown over into this area, and it just sort of picked up a couple oak leaves and stuff. Like, we'll place one there, break that, and place, yeah, a couple like that. And then maybe like a pile just right over here, because it sort of blew up right into that corner like this. And we'll replace that with a normal dirt. And see what I mean? Just sort of blending it in, making sure it all still looks fairly decent and normal. Let's grab our shears. We'll grab this, and we will grab our planks back. We'll replace the hardened clay for right now, because we're going to focus on this for a quick second. We need to add maybe, no, not more leaves. We want to add, oh darn, I put my spruce and stuff back. 1 second. Okay, so let's add a brown clay there. Let's add maybe a spruce. Oh, not there, because actually, no, there, and then we'll cover it up like that. And then we'll give it a bit of a step with some spruce slabs, just like that. So it has a little bit of a step up right here. We'll replace this, because that looks a little weird just being there. And we'll replace that with just some normal dirt. And then right up here is where it's starting to change. So we're going to have a red sandstone slab there. So we're going to start littering some random holes around the place, and we're going to sort of randomly, sort of periodically just switch back and forth between the acacia and the and the red sandstone slabs. And that'll give it a little bit of a different color. Let's add one there right next to it, and let's add a acacia there and there. And that's sort of right in the middle, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's just switch the sides on that. And then I wanted to add in some light gray hardened clay, since I think it blends in fairly well with the normal hardened clay, and I think it makes a decent path block by itself. Of course, you have to use other stuff with it, but it also helps in making a nice, decent pathway. So let's add a sprinkle of those in there. And how's the pathway looking? That's looking a little bit better. Not as good as this yet. It still needs a little bit of something else. Maybe we will end up carrying the dirt over just a little bit more, but only in some places. So let me mess around with that, and I'll see you guys back in a sec. Okay, so I made a couple changes to the pathway. First of all, I changed out the light gray with some spruce again. I added a little bit more orange stained clay. I added some more leaves, and I added dirt and path blocks back, and I do think that makes it look a little bit better, although I still feel like it needs something. I'm going to be relocating these boxes somewhere, probably over in this area for right now, because right along here, I feel as if I want like a dead tree or two, maybe one here and one here. I just want a like small dead sort of bushy tree. It's not going to actually have any leaves, it's just going to be the trunk, but again, I just want like a short, stubby little dead tree. So let me move these and play around with that, and I'll see you guys back in a second. So at first, when I was fiddling around with the idea, I was thinking of going with the acacia wood and the red sandstone slab since it looks like the inside of the block quite a bit. But then I just quickly changed my mind and realized I have brown hardened clay and it goes fantastically with dark oak slabs since they're almost the same color. And I think that is a perfectly fine little dead bush. That is a perfectly fine, tiny little dead bush. And maybe the one over here will be a little bit smaller. That one ended up being a little bit bigger than I expected. So maybe this one over here will just go like, oop, wrong block. Hold on. We'll just go like this. And maybe just bring that up one and there. That's it. That's the tree. And actually, hold on. We need our detailing, of course. Always with the detailing, we'll hide a torch right there. And, maybe another one right there, actually, right there. That looks good. So now we have our two little dead bushes over here that fills in the little gaps between this area quite nicely. And that's pretty much that. And over here, I'm going to change this little area just a tiny bit so we can fit in our little shop. But that's not going to be this episode. We're going to finish off today's episode by coming over here, making the transition here a little bit smoother, adding a little bit of detailing into the mountain, maybe something a little extra, and then end it off. So, see you guys back in a second when I grab some materials. Okay, so I just did the blending real quick because it turned out to be pretty quick. It just quickly blended in. I just expanded out a little bit of the layers here randomly, just here and there, and it turned out pretty nicely. It blends in fairly nicely. So let's start on with making this mountain feel a little bit prettier. It looks a little bit bland right now. It is just the clay, and the original plan was just to go with a mesa, but after we did with up there and all the custom trees and stuff, I'm feeling inspired to just make this entire area just like a really nice custom area. So maybe, hold on, what I'm thinking for right over here is maybe we'll have like a small pond that stops here. Like it'll come down with a nice waterfall and it'll stop there. And over in these other areas, like maybe right here instead, we're going to go like this, and then we're going to add in just some random little variants here. And then right on top, the layer that's right there, we're going to go like that a little bit and expand it out over the new stone. And let's see how that looks, just that little chunk. Could use a little bit of work. It looks a little bit too uniform. Let's drag these two out here. Let's make that a cobblestone. Let's make that a normal stone since those two are andesite. And let's drag it out one over here with a gravel. And actually, you know what? Let's break it up right there with a gravel, and just because right there with a gravel as well. Let's see what we're looking at. And that's looking a whole lot better already. I think we're going to add one right next to the pathway as well. So there's probably going to be one more. There's probably going to be one more there, maybe a little one just along there, and one in the pathway, and then I'll bring you guys back for the little lake. Okay, so I just finished our 4 little stone patches. There's one right there, there, and then we'll have the little pond pool there. But in mesas now, you can get gold all over the place, so I decided, oops, wrong, wow, really wrong block, wow, geez, and I wanted to just sprinkle in a whole bunch of gold since now mesas, obviously, you can get a whole bunch of gold in them. So it makes sense that there's going to be a whole bunch of gold in like the exposed surface. And that's how it looks with all of the gold added in. I think that adds just a little bit of a sparkle to it. But now it's time to get on to the little water feature. Okay, so let's just start digging into the hill right around here, and then we'll make our groove in. And maybe here as well. Yeah, just like a short little path down, maybe like a decently wide cave, and we'll break in with a little bit of dirt just to get a decent natural sort of feel like that. And we're going to sort of Ooh, I don't have any on me. So for right now, we're just going to go like that to remind myself to sort of ease it into the terrain a little bit, since it does look a little bit weird. We will place down the water back here once we clean it up back here a little bit. It's extremely messy, does not look very good. So let's place the water there. We'll run back down here, grab another piece, run up, and we'll make an infinite source up here. We'll add as much water as we can here, just so it gets as far as it wants to. And how's that looking so far? That's doing fairly well. I wish it would have came this way. So maybe if we remove that one, there we go. That is much better, much better. Yeah, that looks about 10 times better. So let's take our shovel and sort of just get a small random pond right here. We will take our sources and make a bigger pool, and then give me 1 second to clean up my inventory since it's an extreme mess, clear out the sides of the clay, and then we'll get back in here to work on the inside of the cave a little bit and make it look pretty. Okay, so we're inside the pond, and you can't exactly see much from out there, so we're only going to add a little bit to it. We're not going to do too much in terms of all fancy schmancy detailing and stuff, just a little bit so it's still fairly noticeable from outside, since that's what I'd like, just the subtle detail that it's actually there and it was cared for. So let's place a slab there, and we'll place a gravel behind. Ooh, where'd all my oh, gravel's right there. I already used it. Okay, gravel there. We'll place a stone there, and right there we'll have a cobblestone. Actually, no, right there in the back. Let's just have another half slab. And oh, hold on, accidentally misplaced the half slab. There we go. And right up here in the roof, which one is this? Is this just normal hardened clay? I think it is. So let's just fill in what we got for normal hardened clay, and then we'll take a look at what it looks like outside just to get a decent view, and maybe right over here as well. Let's add some cobblestone there. We'll add a stone there, and we'll just fill in these two with some andesite just to give it tiny little bit more color. And on this side as well, don't want to neglect either side, there, and we'll fill this one in with just some normal stone. So, and we'll take a look from out here, see how it's looking, and you can't notice it, but it's just that subtle detail where if you're actually looking at it and you're staring at it, you'll notice it and you'll appreciate it. So that's good enough for me. So let's take a step back and look at our area. Let's get a good sort of aerial view for right now, because I want to see our entire hard work. Look at that. Look at what we've done today. We've done like almost that entire area. We did this nice pathway leading all the way down to this pathway. We did the stones in the walls, and we did this very nice water feature. I think we did very good this episode. Next episode, we'll take a break from the shop and we'll work on something else. But then the episode after that, we'll probably return to finish it up here. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Afterlife SMP. Tell me what you guys think of the shaders and such in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Remember, stay fancy and peace out. Bye bye.